Hello, it's Donna Joy from beautiful Perth, and I want to talk to you about something that has become quite dear to me as I've been working online as a sales coach. And this week I've been putting together some sales training for my own clients because it seems to be the missing piece of the puzzle for a lot of people. I mean, there's a lot of people out there telling them how to generate leads and how to create funnels and how to do all that other stuff, but then when the people are coming to them, they just don't know what to say to close them into their business, and they're all making fatal mistakes. Now, I don't mean fatal in their own sense, but fatal in the sense of their business growth. Okay, so they're making mistakes within their sales calls that are causing their business not to grow. So today I want to give you my 3 top rules for sales calls. Okay, so obviously there is a lot of finessing that goes into a really good sales call. You need a script, you need to study it, you need to know the cadence of it, the movement on it, and then over time you obviously get better and better at it as you're able to really believe in that script and see how you're helping people. But I want to give you 3 top things to think about when you're talking to people to bring them into business, that this is going to help you. So the first thing is that silence is your greatest weapon. So when people first start out doing sales calls, they're in discomfort, they're in total discomfort. I get that. I mean, I felt like that for a few months. And when you're in discomfort, the immediate reaction is to start filling any voids with sound. So if there's any silences or any gaps, you start talking and you just talk and babble. And what you're actually doing is you're diluting the power of what you're creating with a sales call. A good sales call is all about creating emotion within your prospect to allow them to see how much they need you. So when you talk, you dilute that. So when you allow spaces to occur, and I do this by handwriting notes and things like that, you first of all, you're giving them the ability to really think about their answer. So you answer them a question, they answer back, and then you keep talking, and then there's just that answer. But when you leave space there after they have answered, then they're like filling that space, okay, with their noise, because they're also feeling uncomfortable with this space. And what happens is that they start digging deeper. They dig deeper into their own thoughts and their own feelings, their own minds, and they start to really bring stuff up that you can work with them on, okay? So the next thing that it does is allowing them to dig like this, allows them to get clarity on themselves. And clarity is a good thing because it's giving them the clarity that they need to see that they need your help, that is going to allow you to close a call. So holding that space for them, allowing them to dig deeper by not filling all those silences after they've answered you, and you are going to allow them to have clarity. Now the next thing it does is it makes them feel heard. If you're just sitting there listening to them, then they feel heard. And feeling heard feels so alike to feeling loved that most people can't feel the difference. So you're sitting on the call asking them questions, you're there for them, you're listening to them, you're not filling it with noise about yourself or your own experiences or anything like that, you're just there for them. Most people don't get to talk about themselves and their pain and their frustrations like that. They're out there bluffing everybody that everything's fine, yep, my business is great, oh yep, so good, but in reality it's not, and they're in pain. And not only do we need to let them have that come up, but we need to peel back the layers, the veneering that they're putting over that pain to hide it, for them to finally be able to. It's like bringing a boil up to the surface and allowing it to pop, allowing them to see how much they need the help, and giving them that power to make that decision and invest in themselves. And that can all come from holding that space and holding that silence for people. Now, the most powerful time to hold silence in a sales call is after you tell them the price. And that is obviously also the most uncomfortable time when you're first starting out. You say the price and you immediately want to start validating that price. You immediately want to start telling them why you're worth it, what they're going to get, and all this stuff. And by doing that, you're actually breaking the tension that you have created in the call. And the whole point about a sales call is to create a tension, a vacuum between 2 people. And that 2 people is who they are now and who they want to be. And you're creating this tension between those 2 people. And when you start talking at the end, when you've given them the price, you're breaking that tension, you're releasing that pressure that you have worked so hard to create. You need to give them that price, and you need to sit back and wait and watch and see what happens. And they're not waiting for you to validate the price. In their head, if you've done your job on the sales call, by now they want it. By now they want your help, right? And now what they're doing in their head is they're like, oh God, that's too much. Oh no, but I really need this. And how can I afford this? And what can I do? And I could maybe put some on that credit card and that, or I could do this, or I could do that. And when you start talking, you take that away. And if you can hold space for somebody after you tell them the price, when you just sit there confidently and wait for them to come to the decision that they need your help and they're going to do whatever it takes, then once again, you're empowering them to step forward to the dream life that they want. And it can be a very liberating thing to sit there and watch somebody have this internal debate. Sometimes they're even muttering to themselves and you're just sitting there waiting to get to the point where they actually start to ask you questions. And once they start to ask you questions, they're either going to be small questions about, okay, well, how do we do this? Or I can't afford it all right now. And then you can actually dig deep into, okay, well, what can you afford? And actually start to talk to them about money. Or they're going to start to come up with objections. And at that point, you can start to address objections. Okay, so my second rule for sales conversations is that you need to know that people don't pay for more, they pay for clarity. People are coming to you because they want to get a fix for a problem they haven't been able to solve themselves. They don't want a complicated answer. They want you to take something that they see as being very complicated and to make it easy and to make it simple. Kind of like how people were willing to pay a lot more to fly in a Concorde because it was going to be faster, right? They're actually going to get there sooner, so the trip was actually shorter. They were spending less time on the plane, right? Maybe getting less value out of it time-wise, but more value because it had saved them time. So that's what this is like. You are saving people time and frustration and pain in teaching them how to do what they need to know how to do to whatever it is, whether it's lose weight or save a marriage or whatever it is that they're coming to you for, whatever niche it is that you're working in. You are saving people time and frustration, and they will pay for that clarity that you're giving them on how you're going to do that. How are you going to help them? So if you can give them complete clarity on how you're going to solve their problem, and you don't do that by going to the features of your course, you do that by going into an overall structure, something that we call the 5-step methodology. But if you can show them with absolute clarity how you're going to solve their problem, then it's no longer about price, okay? If they have objections, it's about fear in themselves, fear they're not going to be able to make it work. Most objections are fear-based, even money ones normally. Okay, now my third and final rule is don't coach them on a call. I know it can be tempting when you first start out because you want to feel like you're giving them value, and possibly you've been taught to actually give them a free session to sell them. Okay, so that's probably what show them how good you are, show them how much you can help them. But often what happens when you do that is that they take that little bit that they've got from you and they run with that. We're notoriously lazy as humans. If we can get a quick fix on something, we will take it. So if you coach them on anything, then they're like, oh, I don't need to pay $3,000 or however much your program or product is. I can just do this one thing that they told me and that's going to solve all my problems. But the thing is that the problems that they have at the moment, the obstacles that they think they have, are not the only obstacles that they have. That's just their limited view of what the problem is, okay? And we know that. We know that the couple of obstacles that they think that they have, once we solve them, new problems are going to come up for them. New obstacles are going to come up from them. And that's why they need to work with us to get them through not only the obstacles that they have now, but all of the obstacles that are really standing in between them and their goal. So when you coach them on a call, you take away that ability for them to have that service because they're going to go, oh, all I need is that. And then they're going to run away and try it. And then you're never going to see them again. Or they're going to find somebody else who does a proper sales call and then gets them as a client and really helps them. So you're doing them a disservice to coach them. Now, that discomfort that you feel, that's just in your head. When you're thinking you're feeling like a fraud because you're not helping them, you're taking them through this script, it's all in your head. Because what you are actually doing is you're doing them a better service than just coaching them straight up. You're allowing them to see how much they need it. You're allowing them to reconnect with their dreams and their goals and to go on fire again. And then to get to that point where they're willing to do whatever it is to overcome these obstacles to get to where they are. And if you just give them that quick hit and they run off and do that one thing, they're not going to get to their dream life. So you need to not coach them on a call. Now there is one time only that you should coach them on a call, but I'm not going to go into that today. So look out from a video from me next week called The Only Time You Should Coach on a Sales Call, and I will go into that in depth then. And it is something that I picked up from Taylor Welsh in his Sales Mentor program. It totally revolutionized the way I look at my sales conversations. And I mean, Taylor is like, he closes at 70-something%. He's got a multi-million dollar business. I mean, I think those guys are doing $25 million a year now. So if he says to do this, then the only time that you should coach in a sales call, then it's worth listening. So I will talk to you about that next time, and I'll see you next week.